morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2015 AppNexus Summit here in New York City. And what better to start your day in New York than the Dramatics, straight from the 14th Street subway station. I bet many of you have walked by them every day and not even noticed how amazing they are. And just like some of our AppNexians, they're innovative pioneers in the use, not of course of ad tech, but of the upside-down bucket drum. So I thought that was a little reminder of us that innovation and creativity are everywhere. Now today I want to talk about something that I think is really important to all of us, ad serving. Now, I saw about 4 people roll their eyes. Ad serving has been around for 20 years. It's something that we all rely on every single day. And the truth is, it's not something that most of us put much thought into. But I believe that we should. And let me tell you why. There's a simple thing that the ad server does. It decides exactly what ad we're going to serve on every single impression across the internet. Every single dollar that every publisher makes is determined by that ad server. About 10 years ago, we realized that if you integrated the ad exchange and the ad server, you could produce much more revenue for publishers. Now today that doesn't seem incredibly controversial, but at the time, imagine where we were. Most publishers said, I will never use the exchange. My inventory will never appear on an exchange, much less try to have our sales team have to compete with it. That's crazy. 10 years ago, I was at Right Media, and I had this vision that some publisher would be smart enough, or maybe crazy enough, to give it a try. And so I flew out to Sunnyvale to see Yahoo, to meet with a guy named Andy Atherton, who ran pricing and yield management at Yahoo. He was renowned as the most thoughtful person in the entire industry on yield management. And I thought, if anyone will understand this, it's Andy. And so I arrived at his office, and his secretary came out and said, Brian, I'm really sorry. Andy's double booked all day, and he can't meet you. Now, I'm very persistent, and I said, I'm not going to fly back to the East Coast. Can I just wait in a conference room? And so I did. I sat there for 3 hours. And at the end of the day, Andy literally stuck his head in the conference room like this and said, hey, sorry, the exchange thing, not for us. Sorry to waste your time. And tried to walk out. And I said, well, hang on. Is there any chance I can come back and meet you tomorrow? And he said, well, I'm working at home tomorrow. And I said, great. Where do you live? And so the next day, I showed up at his house in San Francisco at his dining room table. And he was kind enough to bring his associate, a guy named Ryan Christensen. And I pitched them on this crazy idea that we should have programmatic, we didn't call it that then, but all the programmatic demand compete with all of their guaranteed hand-sold demand. Try to think how crazy that idea was when no major publisher would even consider the exchange. And to their credit, Ryan and Andy said, that's a really, really good idea. Let's give it a try. And it took us a year to do our pilot. But a year later, Yahoo went live with Right Media. They then invested in Right Media, bought Right Media, and I believe were the first major publisher to really validate that the ad exchange wasn't some remnant performance thing. It was actually a key piece of every publisher's ad stack. So we had a proof point in 2006 that programmatic made direct sold campaigns more money, and that direct sold campaigns make programmatic campaigns more money. So let me ask you a question. How many of you think that most publishers now have fully integrated programmatic and direct sold into a single auction? Anybody? You're right. We're still, 10 years later, struggling to get any publishers to do this. 24% of the top 1,000 publishers are now trying header bidding, which is an incredibly hacky way to try to combine programmatic demand into the direct sold part of the monetization process. And that's a shame, because even that is an inefficient way to combine these two channels. The truth is, we have to rethink how the ad server works if we want to take full advantage of programmatic. And so, perhaps, it seems like a relatively functional thing to spend time working on. Why has AppNexus spent the past 2 years investing so heavily into an ad server? DFP is fine, right? It's a perfectly functional technology. It gets the job done. Well, I want to give you an analogy about why I think it's so critical for us to move beyond DFP. And this is not about DFP per se. It's more about how do we put more money into the pockets of publishers? How do we fully realize the potential of programmatic? Now, this isn't something that I'm thinking about alone. We have Tom Shields, the godfather of the ad server, founder of YieldX. We have Michael Rubenstein, who was the guy at DoubleClick who actually started the Ad Exchange integration project, Project Wolf, and founded the Google Ad Exchange. You've got Ryan and Andy, who spent 10 years at Yahoo and other companies thinking about this. We've had Microsoft as a critical partner for the past 5 years, co-inventing the future of the ad server with us. So with all of that, I believe we have the credibility to tell you that we can actually move beyond the way we've thought of publisher ad serving. So here's my analogy for all of you. I want to share with you another really innovative technology from 1996 when DoubleClick was founded. It's the flip phone. Now, anyone used these before? So I'll give you a little demo if you haven't seen these. So this is the screen. It's really small in the back. And then it has these keys. And if you want to call someone on your flip phone, you actually have to dial their number. You have to remember it or figure out how to store it. You can actually send text messages. There's no letters. So if I wanted to say hi, I'd type 44, and then I have to wait a second while the cursor flips over, and then type 444, and then send. And that would cost me 10 cents. Now, much like DFP, I'm stuck, right? I can only send text messages through Verizon. Thank you, Verizon. But that's OK. You know, I don't have that many friends I want to text on this thing anyway. So this technology was extraordinary. How many of us, I was in college, were so proud, be like, what's up? Like, what's up? Hi, Mom. OK, fine. This technology was great. And in 2005, when I went to Yahoo, when I went to Sunnyvale, I had a flip phone in my pocket. There was no reason to believe that we would ever move beyond it. And I won't mention that I actually got a speeding ticket on the way to that meeting with Andy. And I was cradling my flip phone in my ear when the motorcycle cop came over trying to reschedule my being late on my flip phone. So, you know, near and dear to my heart. But this phone was extremely functional. The only problem was it was just a phone. And when, in 2007, Apple came out with the iPhone, it was potentially disruptive. Now, some people said, fine, you took an iPod and you added a phone. Like, big deal. But Steve Jobs, even in the 80s, was talking about putting a computer in your pocket. So the iPhone was really a computer that happened to make phone calls. It was more than just a phone. And so, you know, the phone company said, well, that's fine. You know, I can play music on my phone too, right? Anybody have a music device I could borrow? Perfect. Thank you. This is great. OK. You know, all right, well, I can make this work. Hang on a second. This is going to work. No problem. And the great thing about a boombox is it's got a great form factor, too. It's actually meant to go up here like this. Check that out. So you can call this. You know, and then Apple's like, well, that's cool. Why don't we add some more fancy stuff? How about a GPS in our phone? Anybody got a Thank you. Why did you bring this? But it's OK. Look, I can do that. This is where the integration starts getting complicated. You know, that's the problem with technology. It's not open. What? Did I say that? That's cool. All right, fine. Now I've got a GPS. This is not a problem. This works, right? I'm just driving along. I can answer the phone. I can check the GPS. You know, I can keep adding stuff to this, but I think you get the point. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this 1996 technology. This is perfectly functional as a phone. But what it can't do is it can't handle change. It can't handle unifying all of these functions and putting them together to make them all better. And that's really the idea we have about rethinking the ad server. Let's not start with a phone and add a bunch of stuff. Let's start with a platform, an open platform, a platform that powers an ecosystem, and then see what the ecosystem does with it. I think the greatest testament to this phone was that King.com was bought this week for $5 billion. That's pretty amazing that this phone spawns that kind of exit. On my flip phone, I think you could play Snake. That's pretty much it. So, that's the difference between open and closed. So let me leave you with one more analogy about why I think we're in such trouble if we don't rethink the ad server. How many of you have a drawer at your house or apartment that's full of cables from all the devices that you used to use? I brought a few here. I honestly don't know what these are from. And I'm actually scared that if I don't keep these cables around, something will stop working. That might hit home. But this is real in our industry. I was speaking to a friend of mine who works at a major publisher. He has 31 different ad technology products. He uses less than 10% of any of them, and he has to pay for all of them. And the thing is, his life looks like this. He's trying to string all these things together. You know what my thesis is for header bidding? I think header bidding is just one more plug that we're trying to use to force an old functional product, DFP or a flip phone, to try just desperately one more step towards the future. But we're left with this. This is why consumers block ads. They're tired of seeing these terrible connected piles of cords. So for us to succeed as an industry, we have to get rid of this. We have to move to a future where things just work elegantly. And of course, like every entrepreneur, I would love to be, connected with my friend Steve Jobs in some way. But I don't think it's a bad analogy for ad tech today. I dropped a chord, This is ad tech circa 2015, and that's sad. I want all of us to move to a new world where ad tech just works, where we can put more money into the pockets of publishers, where marketers see more efficiency, where consumers don't see the empty drawer, with all these cords in it, and we take away the friction from this ecosystem. And most importantly, that we open up new opportunities for innovation for all of us. Because the truth is, the iPhone or the Apple ecosystem is so much more vibrant than anything Verizon will ever create, certainly around a flip phone. And I believe it's time for us to move beyond the closed platform into an open ecosystem built for tomorrow's challenges. And with that, I will leave you with my chords. Thank you.